Hey everybody, welcome back to Growing with Papaj. Today I want to talk to you about temperature control. You control it using your regulator up top and your bottom vent. So we're going to go over some of the ways you can use to adjust your temperature and maintain that temperature. And there's a couple variables that you need to be aware of that really affect the temperature you're trying to maintain. Have you cleaned out the bottom of the egg? Is it filled with ash and limiting your airflow? How's your gasket? Make sure that your base and your dome are aligned correctly and you have a really good gasket. That helps maintain your temperature, especially when you're trying to do those low and slow cooks. We have two types of regulators. We have what I call the older style, the daisy wheel. This is what I started with for the past like 3.5 years, and about 6 months ago I got one of these. This is their new design. It actually acts as the ceramic cap as well, so you don't need the ceramic cap. It's all in one. This is something I'm still getting used to the what the setting should be for my different cooks, my low and slow, or my, maybe I'm trying to cook something around 350, 400 degrees. Still figuring out exactly where I like that to be. An add-on that you can get is a rain cover. I have to say that's kind of nice. So if you are cooking outside in the rain, I cook year-round, snow, rain, whatever. This one you would get a little bit of water in if it's a heavy downpour. With this, you are shielded, it's domed, and the water will run off. The one concern I have with the new design is when I'm done with my cook, I normally put on my old style, I put on my ceramic cap. That seals it really well. I have felt here, so when I put this on, I have a really good tight fit. But sometimes I feel as though when I close this, it takes a lot longer for the egg to cool down as opposed to the ceramic cap. So just be aware of that. Let me know if you guys have experienced any of the same concerns with the new regulator. Start the egg with whatever method works best for you. I use a heat gun. I make sure my bottom vent is all the way open. I want good airflow while I'm starting the egg. Once I'm sure the lump is lit, I will go ahead and close the dome, making sure that my top vent is open, and sometimes I just take it completely off, and also my bottom vent is completely open. I'll watch my temperature and set a timer for 5 minutes on my phone and come back out and check it. If it started to move, I watch it closely. If it hasn't moved very much, I'll maybe set another timer for 5 minutes and come back and check it. So remember, I got my top vent all the way open, and what I'm waiting for is for my temperature to rise up close to my cook temperature and for this smoke to clear. You don't want to be putting on any of your food when you've got a deep smoke coming out of it. My temperature is starting to move, so I know the lump is fully lit, just waiting for this to clear. I'm going to put my grate in. This way my grate will come up to temperature, and any grease that might have been on there will also burn off. If you notice now, almost all the smoke has cleared and we're getting the heat waves coming out. There's a little bit of smoke. That's probably because I put the grate in there and some of the grease is burning off the grate. I'll give it a little bit longer. I'm going to try to get my temperature today around 350. So I'm going to watch this closely now because I don't want it to go up too far. So I'm just getting above my cook temperature. I'm going to close down my vents. I think the key to temperature control is patience. You really have to give the egg time to come up to the temperature you're looking for. Right now I'm probably sitting at 380. I wanted 350. Give it a little bit of time. I adjusted the top vent a little. I've adjusted the bottom vent a little bit. So I'll give it time to settle in. I'll probably come back in 10 minutes and check on it. And if you also notice, the smoke is totally cleared now. We've gone to, you would think the egg isn't even running right now if it wasn't for the temperature gauge telling you it's at 380. So remember, the key to temperature is patience. Small modifications to your vents. It's all about airflow. The more air, the higher the temperature. So I waited about another 20 minutes, and you can see I'm just over 350. That's the other thing to remember. You're not trying to hit an exact temperature, you're trying to hit a temperature range. If you're trying to maintain 350 for 4-hour cook, when you're opening and closing, adding protein, and the lump burns down and it lights a different piece of the lump, your temperature is going to fluctuate a little bit. It's okay. Don't worry about small fluctuations. That's not going to affect you. So you can see where I am with my top vent. It's not open very big. Let me show you the bottom vent. The egg's been running for just a little over a half hour. We've been able to maintain 350 degrees, give or take, say 10 degrees, by controlling the two different vents. Now, let's try the old style daisy wheel. One thing to know about this top, this piece stays cool, but the rest of it gets very hot. Get some gloves if you're ever going to remove this. So I'm going to start and see where we end up. Slightly open. I have the screw towards the front. The one thing about this one is when you open and close it, it will shift on you. So be very cautious of where that is. The daisy wheel, old style, has been on for a little over 10 minutes, and it's maintaining the temperature of just over 350 degrees that I had with the other style regulator, the new style. I did not adjust the bottom vent at all. All I did was replace the top daisy wheel and set it to the current setting. With a few adjustments, I've been able to get my temperature up over 400, about 430. So I opened the bottom vent a little bit and I opened the top vent. So the idea with temperature control is monitoring your bottom vent and top vent. Get an idea of where you need to be. Play around with it sometimes. Sometime when you've got some extra time before a cook, start it a little early, play around with your settings. Get to know where you need to be on that bottom vent and top vent. Now, when I do pizzas, I'll start with the top off and the bottom vent wide open. And I'll get that up to probably 550. And then I'll close down my bottom vent just a little bit. And maybe put the screen across and close it maybe a quarter of the way. And then I watch the top and I watch that temperature. And I'm okay with the pizza getting up about 650. That's okay. It really does a good job at those temperatures. Sometimes later in the cook, when those coals down there are just roaring, you might have to put the top back on, and you might just have the top like that, or even like that, when you're trying to maintain those really high temperatures. So take note of that when playing around with it. When you're all done, if you've got the new regulator, put that on. I like to use the ceramic cap. To me, it seems to smother the fire a little bit better, saving those coals for my next cook. I really think that used lump is a little bit easier to start, smokes less. So sometimes I'll overfill just a little bit, so I know I have some ready to go for my next cook. The final note is, everything I've done today has been on a large Big Green Egg. You might find your settings are slightly different if you're using a medium or a small or an extra large. So play around with your vents, get to know your regulator, and have fun doing it. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Growing with Papa J.